Good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar, Financial Transformation to Achieve Your Business Goals. This is the first in our series of S4HANA focused webinars. We will get started with Trevor Lovegrove in just a moment. All right, well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our first in our series of S4HANA webinars that we'll be doing on a monthly basis, focused on helping you make the digital transformation. In a moment, I'll introduce our host, quote-unquote, for this webinar, Trevor Lovegrove, who is our head of product development, and he will introduce his team very briefly and go right into the webinar. As usual, we want to make sure that you understand that there are a number of things that you can do throughout the webinar. Obviously, you can ask questions through the question window that is available through your console. You can also tweet us or at #RevRecReady, and you can email questions or go to our website when this webinar is done. We are recording it, so it will be available to everybody afterwards. So again, thank you for joining us, and I will turn it over to my distinguished colleague, Mr. Trevor Lovegrove. Trevor, all yours.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural webinar on financial transformation. My name is Trevor Lovegrove, and I'm here with two of my team, Doug Hammer and Will Pence, who will be showing you later a small you with this whole process. Okay, so let's start off with what is driving financial transformation. First of all, industry-wide best practices. If we can implement those, which you should be able to using financial transformation, it will help you achieve your compliance goals as an organization, and also to streamline your end-to-end business processes, which is essential to fully implement this particular strategy. The second thing, manage your business performance. Respond to your business issues in real time, both effectively and efficiently. Minimize impact of the close process on your organization by making sure that all of your data is reconciled and automatically as you move forward through all of your transactions in the month. Respond to new regulations. Process compliance is a key feature of all the new reporting financial regulations. So therefore, it's important that you can demonstrate that you have a high level of visibility of all of your processes and that they meet those particular new regulations. Utilize the best fit applications. The ability to integrate with industry standard applications is critical. propose a solution and then resolve real business issues. And being able to in a timely manner, and all of that. Now let's look at organizations are over on the left hand side. Just keeping the business, being able to spend very little time in looking at new business innovation that allows them to drive the organization the way they need it to. What financial transformation allows you to do is to unlock that potential, so you move much more to the right-hand side of this chart, so that you're spending much more time, or much less time, sorry, keeping the lights on, running the business, making sure all of those transactions are processed correctly, and much more time looking at how to manage the business so that you can drive it forward, stay competitive, get a leading edge on your competitors, and to move forward rapidly. Now, what are the things that SAP Analytics can take you? First of all, it will pay for itself in a very short period of time. In addition to that, you should look at significant cost savings, because you can see issues much more quickly, respond to them much more effectively, and then deliver solutions in a much more timely manner. And that leads to also a reduction in process costs, because again, you can see across the business about where your inefficiencies are, so that you can drive down operational costs. Okay, so let's look at the components for financial transformation. And these are the key building blocks for digital transformation. First of all, cloud. It's simple, it has a much quicker time to value, and it increases the speed for innovation. Data. There's a much clearer way of providing predictive insights. Allows you to exploit new product strategies and to increase your customer engagement. All critical areas to stay competitive and to move ahead of your competition. Mobility. We've all seen, even in the last few years, an explosion of mobile apps in order to support you both from a personal and professional perspective. Those mobility applications are moving more and more into the workforce, and are now basically endemic in the workforce culture of every organization. And then networking, hyperconnectivity, social collaboration. These are all critical factors to improve the communications within organizations, and from those organizations out to their customers, their vendors, their partners. Okay, now let's start to look at what the digital core means in the S4HANA world. Here you can see at the center of all of this, the digital core, which is based around S4HANA. It provides immediacy, intelligence, and integration, which has never really been seen before in a lot of situations. It optimizes your user workflows. It allows you to develop architectures based on vertical industry-based solutions with best fit principles. It integrates corporate dashboards and embedded analytics, which will provide you with planning and predictive capabilities. And it also empowers personalization capabilities to allow your end user stock to really own what they do and how they do it, rather than have to constantly refer back to their technical organizations. And finally, what does this really look like? Well, here you see, again, in the center of all of this, the digital core surrounding S4HANA. But you can see here that there's linkages between all of these major cloud applications within SAP's portfolio. SuccessFactors, Ariba, Concur, C4C and SAP hybrids. Not only that, on top of all of that, now you have the capability through Analytics Cloud. You can see all of that information and that data coherently and collectively so that you can really see across your business from an end-to-end perspective about how it's performing and where it's not performing so that you can resolve those issues in real time and effectively. And not only that, SAP are providing access to SAP Cloud Platform, which allows you access to third-party services and products that allow you, again, to integrate their data with the digital core, again, folding it into the overall architecture that is the financial transformation architecture. And with that, I'd like to hand over back to Doug and Will to show you a quick demonstration. But before then, I think John wants to just run a quick poll.
Yeah, thank you, Trevor. I do. So let's run a quick poll just to see where everybody is on your digital transformation journey. So if you all would answer the question here, where are you on your digital transformation? Haven't started, beginning to gather information and understand options, have already begun, or well on your way? Please go ahead and vote. Okay, we'll wait a few more seconds for people to vote. All right, with a good portion of the audience already voting, we'll hold it up in a couple more seconds. All right, let's close the poll. So everybody, to share with you, 42% of you haven't started your journey yet, and 42% are beginning to gather information, which is exactly what we've heard from a number of different polls and organizations that we've spoken with. So thank you for sharing with us. Trevor, why don't you turn it over to Doug?
Thanks, Trevor and John. I should be sharing my screen now. So this is Doug Hammer. I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about a little scenario demo that Will and I have put together. You know, a little bit before we get into the demo, I want to discuss a little bit about what it is we're going to be doing.
Yeah, Doug, we don't see your screen yet.
Okay, thank you. There we go. That should be working now.
All right, there we go. We're on your SAP Cloud Analytics slide.
Yes. Okay, great. So we're going to discuss a scenario where we're looking at an oil and gas company's revenue stream. We're going to find an issue with the data that's being presented in the Cloud Analytics tool. And we're going to dig into it a little bit further, and then we're going to find a problem that is happening over in the S4HANA Cloud area. Before we do that, I want to take just a few minutes to talk about our architecture. Some of you may have seen our previous webinars on IR. And as in those webinars, our tool of choice for today's analytics is SAP's Cloud Analytics tool. And our choice for the digital core is S4HANA Cloud. So we're going to show a little bit of a demo in both of these tools today. Cloud Analytics is a real-time analytics environment with a range of functionalities. It is developed on SAP Cloud Platform, securely protected, and it is has various connectors to various SAP Cloud products. This tool is built for business users. It does require a little bit of experience to get into the more technical areas of it, but it's ready to use out of the box. The scenario that we're going to go through today is going to start with the CFO. He's going to be in the digital boardroom. Actually, I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to be the head of accounting. I'm going to be preparing a meeting with the CFO. So this is going to be kind of a pre-meeting preparation for that. And I'm going to notice the revenue is posted for June. It looks a little bit down for what it should be. And I'm going to reach out to my accounts receivables manager. And he's going to go look into S4HANA and find an issue there with the revenue that's posted. So I'm going to play the role of head of accounting. I'm going to run some of the analytics, and we're going to merge some data with the gas production and revenue in the analytics tool. And then Will Pence is going to play the role of the accounts receivable manager. And he's going to look into S4HANA Cloud. He's going to find an issue there, fix it, and then bring it back into the analytics. So I'm going to go ahead and start by showing the Analytics Cloud. So inside of this tool, we're going to start in the digital boardroom, which has an agenda of various items that would be discussed. I'm going to be the head of accounting, and I'm going to be just sharing the information that the CFO needs to review, and he's going to be presenting in the company-wide meeting. As you can see in here, there's going to be various heads of departments and managers that are preparing their own areas. We're going to have an upstream direct production cost, head of operations, downstream portfolio performance, and downstream supply chain performance. And there's various other agenda items that would be discussed in this meeting. For today, we're going to just focus our time on the financial results. And I'm going to be preparing this meeting and making sure that all the data here is correct. As I look through some of this, we see some KPIs. We can take a look at the gross revenue. It's $602 million, the contribution margin. As you can see on this screen, most of this data is coming from S4HANA. There will be other information such as injuries, which would be coming from an HR system. And the main chart we're going to be focusing our attention on today is this one here. It's gas revenue versus gas production. So the line here is the gas production, and the gas production is coming from a third-party system, and that's being loaded into the analytics tool. Then we've got the S4HANA data being loaded in, and we're merging that data together to make sure that what we're producing is matching what our revenues are. And as you can see, when we look through here from January all the way through May, our production seems to be pretty much in line with our revenue. And then here at the end on June, we see that that's not the case. It appears there's some problem with the revenue that's being posted against what our production volumes are. When I take a look at the next screen, I can see some more KPIs. I can see, earnings and expenses. I've got net profit margin, gross profit margin, some other things here. And in this chart here, I've got the top 5 customers, actual revenue versus planned revenue. And I'm looking at this chart, and this chart looks pretty good. It's for the whole year, so I really can't see for June what the issue is. And we're focusing on the top 5 customers. This could be top 10, top 25, top 50 customers, whatever would make sense for your company and whatever makes sense to put in this chart. Now I'm looking at the top 5 customers because I noticed that the revenue was quite significant difference between what I thought we should have and what our production was. And so I'm going to go ahead and filter this to show just June revenue. When this chart comes up, we'll see that our customer Pit Stop Express is showing a planned revenue amount of 21 million, but an actual amount of 0. So this is definitely concerning to me as the head of accounting. I'm not really sure what's going on with this revenue. And so I'm going to actually need to talk to somebody in the department to find out what's going on. So I'm going to reach out to our accounts receivable manager, and I'm just going to send him a quick note letting him know that we're having a bit of an issue here. And so, Will, I'm going to go ahead and send you a note here. So I'm demonstrating the collaboration tool within the analytics. So I'm going to go ahead and send this over. So I'm just going to let Will know that there looks like there's a problem with revenue for June. The Pit Stop Express is showing no revenue posted when we planned 21 million, and see if he can go look into S4HANA Cloud. So, hey, Will, did you get an email on that?
Yes, Doug, I did. Thank you.
Great. Can you go ahead and show us what you've got in S4HANA Cloud?
Sure will. So hello, everyone. So right now, I'm currently logged in to the S4HANA Cloud system under the role of the Accounts Receivable Manager. So after receiving communication from the head of accounting that there's an issue, a revenue issue for June with the customer Pit Stop Express, I'm going to run the Overdue Receivables application to find out if there's any open receivables that need to be processed for that customer. So the Overdue Receivables app is an embedded analytic KPI report. And from this app, we'll be able to drill down to the individual customer line items and even make incoming payments for those open customer invoices. So looking at this Overdue Receivables app tile, we can see currently there's 68.83% of all open receivables for the entire company are overdue. When I open the Overdue Receivables app, we see a graph showing the amount of overdue receivables by due period. And again, this is for the entire company. However, we just want to see the overdue receivables for the particular customer, in this case, Pit Stop Express. So when I select Pit Stop Express, we can see that we have overdue payables of 20 million. So from here, we could actually go in and look at the customer line items that make up this $20 million open receivable. So if I go to Open In, Manage Customer Line Items, I can see the customer invoice associated with this open receivable. Now, I want to see a different view. I want to look at the terms of payment view. So I can see from this terms of payment view when the net due date was. So we can see it was due on June 30th, 2017. Also from this view, we can see that there's a payment block on it. So I'm not sure why this was put on the payment block. So I need to contact the accounts receivable clerk to find out why this is on payment block and to see if we could get this resolved so we could post the incoming payment for June. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use SAP Copilot, which is a collaboration tool integrated with S4HANA Cloud, to contact the accounts receivable clerks, whose name is Jones David. So I'm going to click on the new collection, and I'm going to go into the information. I'm going to change the title of this message to Open Receivables for Pit Stop Express. At this point, I'm going to invite the participants, which in this case is going to be Jones David, who's the accounts receivable clerk. I'm going to invite him. And now I could do a couple of things. I could chat with him by just adding comments. I could also add objects, create objects, and actually insert screenshots from here. So here, I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of what I want him to see so he can help him research what needs to be done. So I'm going to add a screenshot just by clicking screenshot, selecting what I want him to see. And then also, I'm going to add a message. So here's the screenshot. I could actually go ahead and make changes to this, do coloring and add text or whatever to this. However, I'm just going to leave it as is. So I can see I have the screenshot inserted. And now I'm going to add my comments. So I'm going to ask him why the June customer invoice for SAP Express is blocked for payments. So now I'm going to go ahead and send this via SAP Copilot. So I've sent it. So now I'm going to open up another browser. So now I have another browser open, and I'm now logged in as Jones David. And usually, I'm in a demo system right now where notifications are not turned on. But usually, if someone has received a notification or message through SAP Copilot, usually there would be a red number on the top right corner of the notifications icon to show that this person has received a message. But like I said, notifications are not turned on in this demo system, therefore it's not working. However, I can just open up SAP Copilot, and I'll see the message that the AR manager sent. So if I click into it, I can see the message, and I can also view the screenshot. So if I click on the screenshot here, I've got a little small version of the screenshot here. If I click on it again, I could open it up, and I could view the contents here. However, I can't do anything. I could just view it since it is a screenshot. If I close this, you'll notice I've got a go-to link screen. In this go-to link screen, I can actually click on this, and it'll open up the exact view that the AR manager saw when he sent the screenshot. So we can see we're looking at customer 171-00016, which is SAP Express. We can see that the due date, the payment, and it's on item block. So after a little research, the accounting clerk has come to find out that there were quality issues with the June delivery, and that's why the incoming payment was blocked. So he had talked to the customer. They ended up accepting the delivery and provided the payment. So now we can go ahead and take this customer invoice off payment block. So we'll select it, we'll come over, and we'll unblock the payments. And notice when I do that, the coding for item payment block is now gone. Okay, so this invoice is now ready for payment. So real quick, what we're going to do is we're going to message the AR manager through Copilot that this invoice has been unblocked and to go ahead and process the payment. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in the reason, the message to the AR manager. I'm going to go ahead and hit send. So now it's sent. So now let's go back into the session for the AR manager. Okay, so now we're back in the AR manager session, and you can see it still shows item payment block here. So let me just open up the Copilot just to show you that the message has been received. So here's the new message from Jones David that it's been taken off and that we could go ahead and process the incoming payment. So right now, if I refresh the screen that we were currently in, you'll see that the item payment block has gone away. So we now can process the incoming payment. So to do this, we have a link to the customer ID right here. And I can just left click that, and it'll open up a bunch of different other links that we could actually go to from here. So without having to back out and go to another menu, we could go straight from this Manage Your Customer Line Items app to do what we need to do next. So in this case, we want to post the incoming payments for this journal entry or for this customer invoice. So I'm going to click on Post Incoming Payments. And what you're going to see next is in the Open Item selection, the payment reference comes up. So this is the invoice that we want to have paid, the customer and the customer number. So from here, all we have to do is enter our general information and our bank data, which I'm going to do real quickly here, with the posting date of June 30th. We'll put in our GL account information, which is going to be our Bank One main account. We'll put in our house bank information. And we'll put in the amount, which we know is going to be $20 million. And so now, if I hit propose items, it's going to show the invoice that needs to be paid, and it's going to automatically put a check in the clearing because it matches exactly what we want, and the balance is now 0. So from here, we can post it, or we could actually simulate the post to see what the transaction, the journal entries will look like before we post it. So I'm going to click on simulate. And now we see a screen that shows the journal entry. It shows we're going to debit the Bank One main account for $20 million. We're going to credit the receivables domestic for $20 million. And then from here, we can post it. Okay, and we can see that the journal entry number, and it's been saved successfully. So from here, I'm going to back arrow out. All right, so the journal entry has been posted. We could post a new payment if we wanted to now, but we don't want to. So I'm going to back out again. And now we're in our managed customer line items. And now notice for this customer, our line items are gone because we paid the incoming, we paid that customer invoice, so it's no longer there. If I back arrow one more time, we should now be in our overdue payables graph, specifically for that customer. And notice no data is shown because we have no more overdue receivables. And then last but not least, if we go back to our home page where we saw our overdue receivables tile, you still see that it's at 68.83%, but if we refresh this, just by clicking on the refresh here, you should see now that this overdue receivable should go down, and it does, 58.49% now, because we took a good chunk of overdue receivables out of the system. So using the overdue receivables KPI app, we were able to demonstrate the insight to action process in the S4HANA Cloud system in order to resolve the overdue receivable issue for Pit Stop Express. So Doug, we found and resolved the issue in regards to the customer Pit Stop Express in the S4HANA Cloud system. So can you now take a look in the analytics tool to see if everything looks good on your side?
Sure, thank you, Will. So while you were reviewing the S4HANA Cloud Embedded Analytics, I refreshed the data in our analytics tool. So now back in the Cloud Analytics, we can take a look at that chart that we had seen earlier. We can see that for June, the revenue now is posting up to the line where we would expect it to be, and matches what our gas production volume is. If I take a look at the last chart here, we'll review. I'm going to go ahead and check and make sure this chart got updated properly for June. Before we saw a Pit Stop Express over here on the right with 0 actual revenue for the month of June. Now we see it over here as our second top customer. And we can see that that revenue has been posted for 20 million now. So that's very much in line with our planned revenue of the 21 million that we've got here. So everything looks great. I'm going to go ahead and turn this back now and let the CFO take a look at all this data, and he's going to be prepared for his meeting. So that concludes the demo part of this. I'm going to go ahead and hand this back over to Trevor now so he can do a summary and a conclusion.
And while we're handing that back, we'll run another quick poll, everybody. So let's go ahead and do that. In thinking about your digital transformation and what you've seen today, what issues concern you the most? If you go ahead and vote, that would be terrific. were 10% of you thought that security was a big issue. How can cloud guarantee my security? Second was, how can I truly integrate disparate platforms? And I know that Trevor will touch a little bit on that. And if you look for future webinars that we'll be doing, we'll be showing you how you can integrate into other platforms as well, including things like Concur that are SAP platforms and also some applications that are not. And then we'll talk about other cloud platforms that can support your unique challenges. One of the things that we deal with is change management. And we will be focusing in the future a little bit on that as well. And for those of you who are 35% of you said you're not quite sure what the challenges are, I think that's very reflective, Trevor, of what you and I have seen in talking with customers and speaking with other organizations who are involved in this digital transformation. They don't know what they don't know. So I'll turn it over to you, Trevor, and let's continue on.
Hey, thanks, John. And thanks, Doug and Will, for that excellent demo. So let's just summarize where we are right now, and you should be able to see my screen. We showed this slide before I did. So let's just quickly walk through what you've just seen with the demo. You firstly saw Doug working with Analytics Cloud, looking inside the digital core, and in fact, all of the data is held in the cloud platform as part of the digital core. You saw in these early graphs an amalgamation of operational data from a third-party system, as well as for the financial information from S4HANA Cloud. So we were looking at an integration with a third-party service. And he also mentioned there was some employee data in there, which almost certainly he would have pulled from either a third-party system or SuccessFactors. And in this case, it really doesn't matter. But as you can see, with the use of Analytics Cloud and the digital core, how all of that data can come together in a coherent way, in the way that the business needs to see to make effective decisions. So that's really what we showed today, and we're looking in the future to show a few more situations like that. And each month, as I said earlier, we're going to be doing monthly webinars with a slightly different topic, and we would like, for those who, the vast majority have responded as to you're not quite sure what your challenges really are, certainly provide us some food for thought on what you would like to see from us in future webinars. But for the moment, we've got a list here that will take us out to the end of the year and slightly beyond. What are the challenges for financial transformation, migration? And there's a lot of them. That's one of the things that I mentioned was change management. It's a critical part, not just from a systems perspective, but also from an organizational perspective. Transformation means what it says, and there's a large amount of things that need to be thought of as you go through that process. What does it mean to transform your business with integrated analytics? That's looking at all of those systems. What best fits third-party systems would you need to get integrated? What sort of roadmap would you like to see? Which leads on to the next thing, which is, what's your roadmap to financial transformation? And in other words, we will take you through some typical scenarios about how you will move from maybe where you are to where you need to be. Then we're going to get a little bit more specific about talking about expense management and how that can be integrated with the digital core and with your financial systems and so on and so forth. Predictive analytics. We're going to start to open the kimono on what predictive analytics can really do for your business. Again, using SAP Analytics Cloud as the basic tool. And then one of the key features of S4HANA Cloud is extensibility, both in application and side-by-side application. So we're going to take you through a journey as to what that can mean, how you can use S4HANA Cloud to be able to configure your system in a way that's unique for you. And finally, you'll see a link here to financial transformation ebook series that we've started to produce. I think there's about 3 out there right now. Again, we're looking to add a new one each month, which will line up with the webinar that you'll come here to see. So we're looking for a whole communication suite. And that's really wrapping up from me, and I'll hand it back to John to close the webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Trevor. Actually, there's one or two questions that were out there. One of them is, you saw a number of activities going on in different systems. Did that pull all from the same set of master data, or were we in different systems with disparate data?
The data comes from basically with all the different systems that you may have, as you can see. Let me just take you back a slide so that we can have a look at that. Basically what happens, and we're just focusing on this picture, all of the data from those various systems are pulled into the digital core. So they're basically pulled together, so you basically have a single source of truth. And that can be applied also to third-party services as well. So the integration, if you like, of all of that data appears in the digital core, and that also feeds all the master data out to these various systems. So as an example, with SuccessFactors, that has employee data, as well as S4HANA Cloud has employee data, as well as Concur has employee data, and also C2C. That master data will be held in the digital core and linked with all of those disparate systems, so we have one record of master data in all of these systems. So there's linkages and collaboration between the systems to make sure the master data is coherent throughout all of the systems that are affected by it.
There are some exceptions to that. One of the exceptions is the production volume that you saw there. So that data would not necessarily be loaded into the digital core, but that would be a disparate piece of information that would be merged with data from the digital core in S4HANA Cloud. And so you're kind of seeing both there. The answer would be both. So we're getting information from this third-party system that is loading it in using the HANA Cloud platform or the SAP Cloud platform. And it's loading that in on one side, and then on the other side, you're getting S4HANA revenue data coming in.
Okay. And Doug, that could be, turns out that's a third-party application that's being used for production data. But if companies had multiple ERPs or multiple sources of data, the digital core and S4HANA doesn't really care about that. We have methodologies to transform that data and incorporate it both into the digital dashboards as well as all of the activity we saw you and Will do, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Fantastic. All right. Well, there aren't any more questions, so thank you guys very much. That was a fantastic demo. I hope everybody got a sense of both the power and the flexibility of what these guys presented and what SAP S4HANA offers and the digital core and the digital view or vision. I know that I've been watching the evolution of this, and those screens have changed, and I think it was a fairly straightforward, simple process. So we'll talk a little bit more about in the future how you can personalize and adapt these screens for your own use and add more power to the system, and talk very specifically about change management. So with that, I want to thank everybody. Reminder that we are having 2 more webinars this month. One on Thursday at 10 o'clock that's focused on revenue accounting, RevRec, where you'll hear from Pete Graham, who is the product owner for SAP RAR, and you'll hear about the latest features of 1.3 as well as the new Service Pack 03. And then next week we have a great webinar as well on Tuesday at 10 a.m. also Pacific, where we'll hear from our friends and partners at Nikisa and learn a little bit more about leasing. So hopefully you can all join us for that. I thank you all for joining us this morning, and remember that these broadcasts will be available to you via our website, or you can reach out to us with questions or comments in the future. So thank you very much. Thank you, Trevor, Will, and Doug, for all your hard work, and we look forward to seeing you all at the next broadcast next month. Have a great day.